In this episode of Disappointing Players in Fantasy Hockey, I will be talking about Ryan Miller of the Vancouver Canucks. At the beginning of the season, Ryan Miller was ranked 76th overall in Yahoo Fantasy Hockey because he had reasonably high expectations going into the season due to the fact he was the #1 goalie for the Canucks. Because Ryan Miller was projected #1 goalie of the Canucks, he was likely drafted anywhere between the 6th and 8th round in fantasy hockey. Not only are Ryan Miller's stats subpar this season, he is now splitting time with Jacob Markstrom as the #1 goalie in Vancouver. So far this season, Ryan Miller has 14 wins, a 2.67 GAA, a .914 save percentage, and 1 shutout. His subpar play this season has not only cost him his #1 job in Vancouver, but has also hurt fantasy owners of his. Let's say, for example, you decided to draft Ryan Miller in the 8th round in fantasy hockey. You expect the performance of a #2 fantasy hockey goalie. Well, he clearly has not lived up to that expectation this season. Because those expectations are not met, his owners are now forced to scramble and try to find a replacement goalie because he's playing subpar. The good news is that Ryan Miller is still owned in 77% of Yahoo Fantasy Hockey leagues, but he is ranked 460th in fantasy hockey leagues. If you own Ryan Miller in fantasy hockey, that really is too bad because he's gonna probably end up splitting time between Jacob Markstrom for the remainder of the season unless something were to happen to Jacob Markstrom. To make matters worse for Ryan Miller, Jacob Markstrom has actually been the better of the two goaltenders, which makes the Canucks more likely to play Markstrom over Miller. Unless something drastic happens between now and the end of the season, I do not expect Ryan Miller to turn his season around. Next episode of Disappointing Players in Fantasy Hockey, I'll be talking about Alex Pietrangelo of the St. Louis Blues.